Rams house. Welcome into a brand new episode of the Rams Report by Chat Sports. Today, we're going to be breaking down the two signings that the Rams made a little bit, and then we're going to be diving in to some day two targets for the Rams in free agency, some guys that the Rams might sign next as free agency continues. But on day two, they made two moves. We've covered both of them with shorts that are already out on the channel. Great reason to be subscribed. That is our fastest and your fastest way to Rams news, I believe, and my goal is to be the fastest, the number one source of Rams news in the world. I think that's the goal that we set every single day, is to continue building in that direction, and we do so. We are on the way to 6,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Big thank you to you guys. Make sure you are locked in and subscribed so you don't miss out on that news, and so you join our Ramily, our building community of Rams fans here on the channel, where we just love to talk Rams football, everything about the Los Angeles Rams. So if you love that too, you are in the right place. Well, let's talk about the two signings that they made today. Number one, Jaylen Watson, your, second newest Ram at this point, because there was another signing afterwards, but this one is very exciting. Welcome to Los Angeles, Jaylen Watson. Welcome to the Los Angeles Rams. And we are very excited to have you. This was somebody that I thought was a little bit more of a long shot for the Rams, to be completely honest with you. I thought that the Chiefs would make a big push to retain him after trading us Trent McDuffie, but they ultimately didn't. They've gone in a direction where they're going to entirely reset their corner room, apparently. So we'll benefit by bringing in Jaylen Watson. And I know you may have seen online, Chiefs were the 19th best pass defense last season, and that's true based on raw statistics. But if you also look at passer rating allowed by corners, or for quarterbacks by corners, confusing little sentence there, they were fourth in the NFL. And their 1 and 2 corners were Trent McDuffie and Jaylen Watson. The reason why their defense wasn't great was because their pass rush struggled to get after the passer and left those guys way too long in coverage. Our pass rush was solid last season. It could have been better, but much, much better than the Kansas City Chiefs was. Jared Verse, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, all those guys, they're capable of getting after the quarterback much better than the group in Kansas City. Chris Jones is getting old. George Karlaftis isn't really very good. I think they paid that guy way too much money. They don't have the faces that we do up front when it comes to getting after the passer. So Jaylen Watson and Trent McDuffie are going to be set up for a lot of success this season. And I love the idea of reuniting that duo because they were very successful. And I don't think the money's absurd at all. 51 over 3, $17.5 million per year. I think when I did my short, I said it was $18 million per year. It's actually $17.5 million per year. At 51 over 3, I thought it was 54 over 3. I must have misread it, to be completely honest with you. That's totally my bad. But the guarantees are steady as well at about $34 million. It is not an overpay at all. It is an investment in getting better at one of the biggest areas of weakness on this team, one of the only areas of weakness on this team. And the Rams have gone out and overhauled the area. They absolutely have. I said over and over again on this channel in the weeks leading up to free agency that overhauling the secondary needed to be a primary goal, and it absolutely was. We saw that play out in real time with the trade for Trent McDuffie, the quick decision to lock him up for the next 5 years, and then you get Jaylen Watson for the next 3 years. That corner room, and plus you also add in the Cam Curl extension. That's a lot of money invested onto the back end with two new faces that are making a ton of money as well. I like it. I like the Rams being aggressive to get better, recognizing an area of weakness, something they did not do enough to address last season coming into the year, and something that was ultimately their undoing in the playoff. Something else that was part of the Rams' undoing last year, something else the Rams struggled with last year, special teams. We all know what I'm talking about. And they made a signing to address it this morning, I guess really this afternoon. Joe Cardona is coming over from the Miami Dolphins. Before that, the New England Patriots. He's a long-term veteran of this league, played over a decade. He's 33 years old. He gets a 2-year contract at $3.75 million for the total duration of the deal. Good money for a long snapper. Again, you're investing here, but into an area of weakness. Joe Cardona is super respected, And you've seen the Rams kind of continue this philosophy of let's flip these rooms. Let's flip the secondary. That struggled. Let's flip the special teams unit. That struggled. Goodbye, Chase Blackburn. Let's go hire Bubba Ventrone. Let's go get Joe Cardona. I don't think they're going to bring back Jake McQuaid at this point, which does mean that the last St. Louis Ram is off the Los Angeles Rams roster once that ultimately happens. I think it's pretty likely that he will be released. So those are the two signings for today. If I had to give them grades, we could do grades real quick. Well, first, you give them a grade. You grade the Rams day one of free agency for me in the comments. Let me know what you think of the two signings that they made. Give it an A if you love them. Give it a B if you think it's pretty good. Give it a C, D, or an F if you absolutely hate these moves. I would personally give them an A. I think it's an A day from the Rams in free agency. Good, aggressive moves, but controlled spending. They didn't get out of control. They didn't make any stupid deals. They didn't go spend a ton of money on somebody that they don't ultimately need. They spent the right amount of money on guys that they do need. And I like that direction for this team. Let's talk about day two moves. Day two targets for the Rams. Trey Hendrickson. We've talked about him before on this channel. I think he's the best edge defender on the market right now. I think he's arguably the best player remaining on the market right now. And worth noting, we are filming at 8:30 p.m. on Monday night. At any point, any of these guys could get signed. So if you're watching this video and you're like, hey, that guy actually just got signed by the Tennessee Titans or whatever, then I'm sorry. I filmed this before he got signed. So just bear with me if that becomes the case with any of these. You could skip through that point of the video if that's when you're watching it. But Trey Hendrickson, arguably the best player on the market overall right now. I think that is 100% true. I think he'd be a great add to this Rams defense, and it's clear that they're interested in improving the pass rush and interested in spending significantly to do that. They were involved in Max Crosby trade talks. We know that for a fact. But what is this deal going to look like? I'm getting a little nervous about these edge rusher numbers. I don't know if you guys were watching around the league today, some of the contracts that came in. Odafe Owe, $100 million over 4 years. Boye Mafe, $60 million over 3 years. I don't know why their names sound so similar in that way, but both of those guys got enormous paydays, $160 million for those two dudes in total contract value, all handed out today. And Trey Hendrickson is more productive than both of them. I think he's a better player than both of them. Not huge margins there, but he will get a bigger payday than both of those guys got. His agents are sitting there taking notes. They're like, Odafe Owe, he gets $25 million a year. Cool. We're going to get a little bit more than that. Oh, Boye Mafe gets $20 million a year. Cool. We're definitely going to get more than that. Like, that's the reality of it. That's the way this game works. And Trey Hendrickson is sitting there, I think, kind of smartly biding his time, waiting for the right team to be interested in him. There were some rumors that Dallas was going to make the move today. That doesn't ultimately materialize. Somebody's going to sign Trey Hendrickson. I don't think it's going to be the Rams, though. I think he's ultimately going to be out of their price range, what does ultimately make sense for them. And I think he's going to want a multi-year commitment, which I don't think the Rams are going to be interested in making with him. Somebody I do think would be comfortable with a little bit less money and a 1-year commitment, Joey Bosa from the Buffalo Bills. He's coming off a solid year in Buffalo, remains productive. Obviously, injuries have been a big factor for him during his time in Los Angeles with the Chargers. But would he be interested in coming back to Los Angeles this time as a Ram? I think it's possible. Again, I think he's a cheaper option than Trey Hendrickson. I don't think he's quite as good. I don't think he starts over any of your current guys at edge, but I think he absolutely adds that fresh presence, kind of what he did in Buffalo, where he wasn't a full every down starter for them, but when he does come in, he is wrecking things. He's making big plays. You know what I mean? That's Joey Bosa's game. He gets after the passer. He gets after the quarterback. I think he could play that kind of a role, even probably less snaps, even more rotationally. But, like, there's an advantage to using an edge rusher rotationally to some degree. It keeps that guy really fresh. You're able to come in and attack offensive linemen who are tired, exhausted from playing all of these snaps, and you've just been sitting on the bench waiting for your opportunities to go get after the quarterback. So I think that kind of a role could work really well for Joey Bosa. I don't know exactly what that strike price looks like or if he's comfortable with playing that level of snaps. He did play a little bit more than that in Buffalo this year. He wasn't just a situational pass rusher, which I'm not saying that would be his only usage, but I think that would kind of be his thriving role in the Rams defense. Moving on from edge defenders, a couple edge options. I do think the Rams are interested in upgrading at that. I don't think that's 100% like definitely going to be on the list. I think they'll do it if it makes sense, though. Something I do think is absolutely on the list, be it in free agency or in the draft, is adding a third option at receiver. We've hit on this a lot. I know some of you guys are tired of hearing me talk about this, but Jauan Jennings makes some sense. And I know you guys aren't going to like this either for a number of reasons. I know he's a Niner. I know. I don't like that about him either. He made bad decisions in the past playing for San Francisco. We'll forgive him for that if he does decide to come over to the Rams because he's a pretty solid player. Last 2 seasons, injuries were a big factor in 2025. 55 receptions for 643 yards, but 9 touchdowns, and 77 receptions for 943 yards and 6 touchdowns in a breakout year in 2024, where injuries were a factor for other guys in that Niners receiver room, and he was really able to step up. He got a 1-year deal in San Francisco to stick around this season. Contract disputes were kind of a thing between them, but he didn't really play up to the standard of what he was kind of trying to demand. So I think now at this point he's in a reset period where he could be looking for a multi-year commitment, but obviously it's not going to be at the rate that he was hoping to get from San Francisco, or likely even the rate that he got last season. I think it could be a really good option for the Rams. Jennings is still young. Off the top of my head, I don't actually know how old he is. Let me double check. I want to say he's 27 years old. But here, I don't want to lie to you guys. Jauan Jennings is 28. I think he just turned 28. But still, a young option for the Rams at wide receiver. It's not like he's pushing 30. You could sign him to a 3-year contract, 28, 29, 30. There you go. I like that idea. Depending on the money, again, a lot depends on money with every single one of these. You guys are probably going to hear me say that a lot. If you took a shot every time, it would be a dangerous drinking game. But I do think Jauan Jennings could make some sense at the right price. I think he might be, we're going to talk about 2 other guys. I think he's my favorite receiver option that we're going to talk about today. Next up is Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs, really good player with the Green Bay Packers over the last couple of seasons. He's had his highs, he's had his lows. Drops have been an issue at times for Doubs as well. I think he's going to get a lot of money. That's the thing that makes me really nervous about Romeo, is the production's not really there. But I've been hearing from a number of people that the money is going to be there. Absolutely. It absolutely is. And, you know, again, that's kind of the situation, right, with the Rams. We have some cap space to play around with. Even after the Jaylen Watson deal, it's tough because we don't have exact numbers on Higbee's contract, but rough ballpark, I think you're sitting at just around $10 million in cap space right now. So you get a little bit to play around with. You can create some more via a couple restructures, which we've talked about. Matthew Stafford restructure, Devontae Adams restructure. I think those are coming down the line. But I don't want to see the Rams overspend on a receiver like Romeo Doubs. I think that one could get a little tricky. That could get quite expensive. I think he's likely to clear in the $15 million a year range, which I think whoever gives him that kind of money, be a decision they live to regret. That is what I will say there. It's not that he's a bad player. It's just that's too much money for him. Keenan Allen, he's aging. Again, we talked about Mike Evans as an aging option. Obviously, he lands in San Francisco, which boo that. But Keenan Allen could also be interesting. 81 receptions for 777 yards and 4 touchdowns in his return to the Los Angeles area with the Chargers this year. Obviously, he spent a little bit of time in Chicago, pretty much a career Charger, finally coming back. Tough stint in Chicago, didn't really get what they were looking for out of him. But I think in Los Angeles, he settled back into that role with the Chargers. Obviously, they didn't have the year that they were looking to have, but I think that attributes a lot more to the injuries that they had along the offensive line. But Keenan found a nice role for that team as a complement to Ladd McConkey, even a complement to Rondé Gadsden at times as well, who broke out pretty big for the Chargers last season. I think he could play a similar one in Los Angeles. Again, kind of like with Mike Evans, you talk about, is there a little bit too much similarity with what Devontae Adams offers you at this point? I think maybe to some degree. This is also a serious Band-Aid solution. This does not offer you multiple years of like down the line flexibility. You're not getting several years of good production out of Keenan Allen, but it could be a 1-2 year tops deal where he comes in and is a Band-Aid solution for the receiver 3 issue while you draft and develop a younger guy. Maybe you don't want to spend that first round or even second round draft pick on a receiver. You want to go later down the board, get somebody that could be more of a project, get somebody that could sit behind Puka, Tay, and now Keenan Allen as well for a couple years, learn from a room that has 3 Hall of Famers in it. I mean, how about that? For a young guy, that would be, you sitting there taking notes, man. That'd be unbelievable. But I think, like, could that be a vision for the Rams? Maybe. Of the receivers we've talked about, I want you guys to vote on one in the comments. Give me a JJ for Jauan Jennings. Give me an RD for Romeo Doubs, or a KA for Keenan Allen. If I had to pick one, like I told you guys off the top, I'm going Jauan Jennings. I think he's the best option. I think he's the best player of that group, and I think the money with him will be the most in the Rams' appetite, we'll say. I think you could fit all 3 of these guys in the budget, technically, but I think appetite and budget should be 2 different words in this sense. You guys tracking what I'm saying here? I think you are all in. Some interesting targets that remain on the board for the Rams in day 2 of NFL free agency. If they make a signing, when they hopefully make a signing, we will be here to cover it on the Rams Report. So make sure you are subscribed if you're not already, and turn those notifications on. That was a great time to have them on. If I pop out a short, you don't want to miss that either, because that's my quickest way, like I said off the top, to getting the news out to you guys. Sometimes I can't get here to make a video until a little bit later. Obviously, I know it's kind of late and 6 o'clock for you guys right now, 8:30 for me in Dallas. But we're still here. We're rapping at you about Rams football because I love doing this. It makes me very happy to talk about Rams football. It makes me very happy that we've got a nice Rams community. So if you love Rams football the way I do, make sure you join by subscribing today.